Yeah. Hi guys, I'm Ben Wilson, the editor of Official PlayStation Magazine UK.
Hello, and I'm Dave Meeklam, news editor on Official PlayStation Magazine.
And we're here today to play some WWE 13. We've actually been doing this privately and really enjoying it. So
Lots
let's
of
see
man hugging in our spare time.
Yeah, so let's see if we can translate our skills at home to skills live on YouTube. Dave, why don't you quickly, before we play a match, why don't you quickly take us through like the Attitude Era stuff, because this is probably the main mode in this year's game. It's easily, I'm sure you'd agree, like the best season mode in a WWE game ever. Even the highly regarded N64 versions and such like. So Dave will quickly show you the Attitude Era and how it all works.
Yeah, totally agree with what you just said. I think it's easily, definitively the best career mode Ukes have ever done in any of the wrestling games. I'd even go as far as say it's one of the best sports career games, if you can call this a sport. I've played full stop. It's just excellent. It's what they've really nailed this year with Attitude. Is just should we dip in quickly?
Yeah, let's dip in.
Yeah.
Oh, it won't let me in because I didn't press start. So you jump in.
Yeah, the presentation of it is just excellent. It essentially covers a roughly like a 2-year period in kind of wrestling's golden era. Kind of starting off in mid '97, starting off like DX and the infamous Montreal Screwjob between HBK and Bret Hart, and then it kind of spans the Austin era and like Austin's battle with McMahon, and then it does like a sideline in Undertaker Kane's rivalry, before kind of finishing with like The Rock and Mankind's battles for the WWF title, which kind of took place in early '99, and then it culminates with WrestleMania 15.
Should we play one of the matches? Can we play it 2-player?
Yeah,
I think we can.
Can we?
Yeah, let's give it a go. Let's try a Rock scenario.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, the great thing about it is you know, Dave will flick through left and right some of the things you can play and do, and with all of them you can advance the storyline just by winning the match, but by completing objectives you can unlock things like extra characters, extra outfits, belts, etc., and those can be used across all modes of the game. So for example, Universe mode, which we'll dip into later, you can unlock old school Kane and old school Taker, and then you can use them in your Universe mode now and have them wrestling against current stars like Punk, etc. So this fan service is brilliant. Like, you know, we'll just start a match now. Should we play that one?
yeah, let's do
Rock
this.
Mankind. That is a classic Survivor Series match.
And each match is framed with either bespoke videos that Ukes have made with the help of archive WWE footage, like you'll see here. And it also a brilliant thing, as you go through matches, you have to recreate the like individual specific events that actually happened in the real life match. So like in this match, you basically have to screw Mankind, and you kind of put him in a shark shirt at the end. And so there are all these context sensitive objectives you have to fulfill that really make it really authentic to the matches that took place during that Attitude Era. And brilliantly, matches are also punctuated with like brilliant in-game cutscenes that really mimic how all these matches were filmed. So like, I'll use the same camera angles for certain moments, and it'll even reuse audio from like interviews and stuff that were used on the matches and bits of commentary, and like JR and King are on commentary duties, and they really paint a really good story for each match. There's loads of contextual stuff where they explain what was happening with the rivalries at the time, and it just feels like super authentic. Like all the arenas and stuff are exactly as they appeared back in the day, and they've got all the old entrance music and all the wrestlers' old looks. It's massively authentic.
I think they had a seed for this with a game called Legends of WrestleMania 2-3 years back, but I think the actual gameplay itself, it was so QTE heavy, it didn't really work. But basically going back and playing in the old arenas with all the real fonts and that kind of thing, like as you'll see when we come out for this, it really does feel like you're reliving that era, cliched though it sounds.
And then you'll see the historical bonus objectives you have to kind of fulfill there. So strike Mankind with a chair, perform Rock's finishers, and then that fourth one's the old screw jobberoo at the end. So yeah,
Survivor Series is 98, I believe, which was Deadly Game. Basically, the WWE title had been, or WWF as it was then, title had been held up, and there was a tournament to crown a new champion, and everyone thought Vince McMahon was going to help Mankind win, and you actually play 4 or 5 matches from the tournament as part of this mode. This is the final where everyone thought Mankind was going to win as the chosen one of Vince McMahon against the fan favourite The Rock, and you'll see what happens very shortly. Yeah, all the entrances, you know, like this, it's just great seeing them. You can see in the background, you know, the stage is correct. As I say, the overlays, the fonts, etc. It's all just, it's brilliant. I actually say, the night after I played these 5 matches in game, the Survivor Series tournament matches, I went back and watched the original show, and I probably had more fun playing and interacting with it, partly because when you go back and watch the old stuff on DVD, like, the visuals don't look as good. It all looks, you know, it's a bit grainy. Whereas all this is in like HD. The wrestlers all look great. It's a really fun mode to explore.
They've got the animation. Like for this Rock entrance, they've got his animation during his corporate days just down a T, like that kind of cocky swagger, and like even there we'll see the fonts there. They've just got even the skull logo. The actual pay-per-view had like it's, you know, presentation wise, it's leaps and bounds ahead of anything Mieks have done before. It's just the attention to detail in the Attitude Era mode this year is just excellent. Yeah,
and the offshoot of it as well is that they've included loads of stuff. So there's a creator, there's always been a creator and arena mode, or certainly in the last 2 years. They've now expanded it so that you don't just get to choose the ring and the barricades and stuff. You can choose the actual size of the arena. So, for example, I went online last night and someone had already made WrestleMania 9 arena that was like outside with all the WrestleMania 9 pillars. And do you remember the one in Las Vegas? Like, and at the same time, you can create arenas where you only have a handful of fans there. It's in like a tiny hall, so you could make the ECW arena, or you could make the current NXT arena, which is like where the sort of training ground TV show for WWE at the moment. So the options there are many, and as I say, it's just the words I keep coming back to, Dave, and I think you agree, is fan service. Just like whatever absolutely. You want to do with this game. There are some flaws with the engine, they'll probably come up in the match, but like whatever you want to do, it's your universe, as Vince McMahon would love us to call it, and you can really tailor it to what you want it to be. So Dave's going to have a little match here. I think Attitude, I think it's just one player, but you can play out the match, and
that's your objectives, which you can hide.
I'll try and do some JR commentary to go along with it.
I don't know what difficulty setting I've set this time.
Oh, he's already finding excuses for losing. So Dave switched the checklist off, but if Dave hits select quickly, then you'll see that's the... So if you complete the match objective, which is win by pinfall submission, you'll advance the storyline, but you won't necessarily unlock anything. If you complete the 4 historical bonus objectives, which we'll try and do depending on the difficulty level, you actually unlock extra characters, extra belts, etc. And you should also say that like the number of characters in here from the Attitude Era is incredible. You know, it's not just the big hitters like Rock, Mankind, Undertaker, Triple H. You've got people like old Mark Henry, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn. There's DLC out this week with Gangrel, if you know that name, with Scotty 2 Hotty, with Rikishi. If you wanted to, you could buy that. If you knew nothing about wrestling beyond the year 2001, you could still buy this and love it. There are as many old school wrestlers as there are current wrestlers.
In general, I think it's worth pointing out that the match engine for me, because I've always been a massive wrestling fan, and I pretty much, I bought SmackDown every single year in PS2, but my big problem with the series, especially when the likes of Fight Night came out, was where it all felt far too floaty and insubstantial. I think they've made great strides to fixing that over the last couple of years with the I hate to say it's the Predator engine. Dear God, that sounds rubbish. But
I think the physicality now is really good.
Yeah, like, it feels much more. You always used to feel like you're almost floating in the air in the old games. You really do feel like you're actually physically in the ring. Like wrestlers now, you know, their bodies react to the ropes. There's like a much more dedicated physics system in place, and you've got a really good limb targeting system in place now, which I'll try and show. The submission system works really well, and there is just a much more satisfying sense of weight and heft that you would get from.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some flaws. You know, we noticed the other night we were playing a match, and we'll probably again hopefully see it later on. We were playing a match between Sheamus and Big Show where they've eliminated most of the silliness, where say a little guy can like, you know, pick a massive guy up and throw him around. But we were playing a match the other day with Sheamus and Big Show where Sheamus was tossing Show all around the ring. It doesn't always work, but generally it's a lot better at detecting.
That was the one I'm talking. You just hold down R1 and then you can pinpoint a specific body part with any of the face buttons. So it's quite tactical if you're going for a submission. So if you're, say, going CM Punk and you want to lock in the Anaconda Vice, you'll have to obviously concentrate on your opponent's head. So
then you've got the announce table. So another thing you've got this year, again, if Mieks can get a finisher, we'll show you, or certainly we'll show you the match after this.
The oh my god
is the OMG moments. So as you probably know, if you're a SmackDown series or WWE series aficionado, you get a finisher by building up your hidden momentum meter. This year, instead of using it as a finishing move like for the rock bottom or the people's elbow, you can actually use it in a variety of ways around the ring. So when he gets his finisher up, this obviously isn't an OMG moment, though you can probably still chuck him through the table if he wants to. There you go, bam.
I was going to say the clipping's much better this year, and then you saw his hand go through a shot.
These little replays as well are great. But yeah, as I was saying, like you'll so when Dave eventually gets a finisher, he can throw Foley into that barricade, and by pressing triangle, instead of hitting the rock bottom, he'll actually slam him through the barricade, and again you get replays of that. It's all just about making it feel like you're not just playing the same old thing of beat each other up for a bit, hit finisher, win, beat each other up for a bit, hit finisher, win. There's a bit more variation with these OMG moments.
And this is the old breaking point submission system, which is a bit of a button masher, but it's still, you know, it certainly works really well in multiplayer.
Yeah, I think when you compare it to how it used to be in terms of the button mashing, it's much improved. I think that things like that, you don't really mind it that much.
I think it's important to point out, while it is certainly improved in single player, it's almost like a revelation playing it with an evenly matched mate, because we were having like 5 or 6 matches on Monday night, and they were like much more so than fight the computer. It really kind of aped the ebb and flow of a real wrestling match. Like we had like, you know, really close finishes where we were reversing each other's finishers and kicking out.
Should we jump out of this and do a 2-player? I think we've covered a lot of Attitude Era. Unless you're determined you want to show the world you're winning.
I think that's fine.
Oh, now man comes to turn it around. He doesn't want a bit.
Oh my god.
Alright, so we'll jump out of there, and yeah, we'll just jump into like an exhibition match. You've got all your normal match types. You've got exhibition match. You've got you know, matches in the Hell in a Cell. You've got cage match. You've got, is Elimination Chamber in there? Yeah, it must be in this year. You've got your Royal Rumble, but then they've also added back in this year. They've added a special guest referee match, and also the I Quit match, which obviously was a famous Rock versus Foley main event.
Should we recreate the best match from the pay-per-view last week, which was Hell in a Cell, which was
let's do it.
Sheamus Big Show.
Yeah, so this is the one we talked about earlier. As you can see, Mieks hasn't unlocked everything yet, but you can see it's a bit Street Fighter in the way the screen's presented. Let's just go through a few of the guys. You know, these are all the Attitude Era guys. Bossman's in there, Bret Hart, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, X-Pac, Shawn Michaels, Shane McMahon's in, even though he's not involved in WWE anymore. Good old Mark Henry. Should we have Mark Henry against Mark Henry? Better not. 3 versions of Mick Foley if you're a Foley fan. Old school Kane, old school Hunter S. Helmsley. But
Jesse James.
Yeah, we're going to jump in. Do you want to be Sheamus or Show?
I'll go Show.
Oh, I love a bit of Sheamus. Dave doesn't like Sheamus. So yeah, here we go. And then when you go in, you can't do this in Universe mode, but in here you can actually go in. Again, Dave's probably unlocked a few of the arenas. You can play in any of the old school arenas. And again, there's loads of fan service in terms of the one they provided, and the ones they haven't provided you can make quite easily or download off the sharing facility they have on the online options. Should we go in Hell in a Cell? That's where the match was.
And we should probably point out this. You can change the match experience in LR2, which essentially just it kind of alters how quickly finishers appear, and basically, an epic match will be much longer.
And if you want, you can, we won't do it now. You can tailor all the rules, so you can turn the entrance on and off. You can change the momentum bar speed. You can have whatever rules you want, really. You can change the ring out time. When I'm playing Universe, I normally knock it down to 5 because it's a bit more dangerous. You're never going to be against the AI. You're never both going to be out the ring for 10 seconds. So yeah, let's jump in. The loading times this year, Dave, I noticed are much better. Last year, when you got to this screen, it came up and it would show the arena, and it would be zooming in and out, and basically it took about 30 seconds to load, and it was really juddery. This year you go straight into the entrances. They've obviously done some optimization work, really strong optimization work in that regard. So here he is, the man himself, Big Show, who can we spoil the pay-per-view now?
Yeah.
Who did win the title on Sunday night after a 4 or 5 month reign for Sheamus.
You're still all smiley.
Yeah, happy Big Show. Or you can edit the entrances as well. This is one of the things. I, as a massive addict of the game and of the universe, you can go in and you could give Big Show, Kofi Kingston's entrance or Undertaker's entrance. But you can go in. There's like 4. So the entrance, actually, the way it works is there's 4 or 5 consecutive scenes. So there's stage scene, ramp scene, in-ring scene, and then actual the final bit which you're seeing here of him like throwing his fist up. And you can edit any of one of those scenes, so you can tailor the entrance yourself to be
That's
more
really good. So you can do it in segments.
Exactly, yeah. And it cuts to, in case you pick, say, Kofi Kingston cutting to Undertaker as your segments, it will cut to the crowd in between, so there's not an unnatural thing of like a man jumping up and down then walking really slowly.
I suppose that's really useful if you're wrestling obsessive.
Exactly.
Like, people switch between allegiance between heel and face so often that if you know, you've got a big smiley entrance, you can maybe edit that out to make him more like he is now, like a grumpy, massive man.
Here he is, Mr. Sheamus. Favourite of mine. Dave doesn't like him. I think he's probably my wrestler of the year. Dave is going to have kittens now. I've said that.
Yeah, he's a good worker. He's just Mr. Joe Generic Happy Man.
Joel Generic. Or would you say Joe Generic?
Joe Generic. Yeah. Or Joel Generic.
Joel Generic.
Joe is fairly generic.
Sheamus, the first ever. I sound like I'm Michael Cole now. The first ever Irish-born WWE or world heavyweight champion, and a favourite of mine, less so of Dave's.
Well, we're going to probably show off the weight.
Yeah, there'll be. We might be chucking each other around a bit here, which, as I say, isn't the best example of the game's weight recognition. But let's play a match and see how it goes. So the other day, we basically started off. We basically started off like, you know, playing properly, playing like you would a normal wrestling match. There you go. There's straight off the bat a big one-armed roly-poly move. So yeah, the other day when we were playing, we started off like, you know, only going for pins after finishes and big moves, and then we ended up basically, when we were both almost dead, like knocking each other down with a punch and then still going for the dirty pin. So any tactic goes in this game.
Yeah, I was really dirty with that.
So you can see the reversal system. It's quite simple. It's R2 to try and reverse a move, but you've just got to get the timing right, and it will give you a little prompt. There you go, whether you've got it right, wrong, or not. And you know, it becomes a sort of tactical battle in terms of when someone gets you in a grapple, as Dave's done there. Do you press R2 immediately to try and reverse it, or do you wait for him to make the first button press? Sheamus isn't tapping to that.
And what I really like is certainly about the finishes of matches, that they are, you know, they're like uber exciting. Like, it's just because you hit a finisher, because the kick out system for the pinfalls, it's all timing based. So if you're really good at kicking out, like a finisher isn't necessarily the end of the match. You can kick out like several finishers if you're skillful. It just makes, you know, almost like a WrestleMania main event. It becomes really back and forth, and it is actually quite difficult to get your opponent's shoulders down for the 1, 2, 3. Well, we had an amazing end to a match the other night where like you hit me like with three tombstones with the Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels, and I kicked out the first 2, then countered the last one, and just won with the switching music. Because if you counter someone's finisher, it automatically rewards you with your own finisher. So,
and then you always end up doing
basically you're always in it. Like, you're always in it right into the death, no matter whether the momentum's all with your opponent. You can switch it right at the last second and like win with a single move, which is, you know, like real wrestling. Well, as real as a predetermined sport.
I mean, but that's the thing, isn't it? I remember we used to work with a guy called Joel Snape, and you know, he made a very valid argument, which was that it's hard for this to be a pure fighting game because wrestling isn't real. Like, as in wrestling, it's like a choreographed ballet where the participants are obviously secretly or not so secretly interacting with each other, and it's all pre-planned out. So the difference with this is that me and Mieks are generally trying to beat each other up in a virtual form, and so you're never going to get quite that same exactly realistic back and forth you do get in WWE, because you're not trying to help each other, you're trying to smash the crap out of each other. Let's throw him out the ring. Oh no, he hasn't gone out the ring. Let's give him a punch instead. Let's see if I can get him in the corner and oh, he's reversed it and slammed him. So yeah, as you can see, Hell in a Cell, like all the usual WWE pay-per-view arenas are in. So when you play Universe mode, and again I'll take you through a little bit of that with Dave after this match, you can create your own shows. You can put them in current arenas or past arenas. You can have your own rosters, so you could have running concurrently. You could have the current Raw roster and the current the old school Raw is War roster. But yeah, that was a tongue twister. So there's this other thing. If you both go for a grapple at the same time, like there, it's one of the other few times where there is a button mashy race. That has hurt Sheamus's poor head. How's this for an old school tactic? Let's get the ref. Come on, ref. Here we go. I'm going to do a naughty. I'm going to go get the steps.
We'll get disqualified.
Now, obviously, like in real fake wrestling, if the back's turned, even if disqualification's turned off, you can still use the steps and still use weapons. You'd actually pick him up and chuck him out the ring in a minute. I'm going to see if I can hit a move off the top with Sheamus. Dave's going to move out the way. Uh-oh. Right in the back of the head. So here comes the move. Now, oh no, I thought it was going to be a submission move. I was going to say something else, but I will not.
It's a submission move.
Yeah, so if they, so you can see I'm going to break this, but if Dave hits L1 before like that, you'll see the little bar pops up. That's his momentum bar, and by releasing the hold early, you obviously don't get reverse, but you lose a little bit of your momentum. So again, it's like a risk reward thing. Oh, Sheamus is not having the best of matches. Dave is clearly a better multitasker than me. I'm thinking more about what to say. I can crawl there with the left stick. I wasn't in the hold long enough, but it's another way of escaping holds.
Yeah, rope breaks certainly add like a more tactical element to submissions.
A little punch in the back. Bam. Get up, Sheamus. Oh, he's gone for the old headbutt. Too high. You see as well in the crowd this year, they've got, in previous years, they'd have signs for the two wrestlers who were wrestling that match. But this year, as well as having the signs that are tailored to the guys in the match, you can see in the background there's a guy wearing CM Punk's Best in the World t-shirt, the white t-shirt with the little red fist on it. You can see a guy in a Sin Cara t-shirt, which is blue with yellow on. You can see a guy, clearly a friend of Dave Meekleham, who's wearing a Rise Above Hate Cena t-shirt.
Oh, dear Lord.
I said the word Cena. I said I was going to try not to. But yeah, you know, they've really gone to town with trying to make the crowd feel real. The sounds are so much better this year. Like, yeah, you know, you come out with you come out for a Daniel Bryan match and they all chant yes, yes, yes as he comes down the aisle, which is what happens in real life.
And they like chant Rocky and stuff now for specific wrestlers. And like, you know, generally in Attitude Mode, JR and King are much better than Cole and King in normal matches, but that's because Michael Cole's rubbish. Yeah, the commentary I think is still not quite on par with UFC Undisputed, which was the game it was supposed to be taking its lead off. There's still a few lines that have been in there for literally 5 or 6 years. Down on the head and things like that, but the play-by-play stuff isn't great. But what the Attitude Mode is really good at is, as I said earlier, like setting up that context. So when they go off in little rants and they're just talking about the storylines, and that stuff's all really well done.
Dave, I'm going to let you pin me in a minute so that we can show the watchers another match, because this has been epic, a bit epic like Sunday match. I'll try and let myself be tapped out so we can move on to the next match if you keep going. Sheamus is going to tap here.
Anticlimactic finish. Even how finish it, we should have set that up as a.
It should maybe go for quick. Yeah, we'll go for quick next time.
It'd be nice to show a couple of
finishes. Absolutely. So we'll jump in now and quickly show you the other main mode, which is Universe, and this is the 3rd year it's been in. I play it religiously. Last year, probably shouldn't admit this on in a public forum, but last year I got so obsessed with Universe that I had 3 different documents on my iPad. One with my roster on, one with my history of champions on, and one with all the created wrestlers I needed to get, because obviously you get a certain number of wrestlers with the game. If you want the complete roster, you need people like, and only wrestling fans will know these names, but like the primetime players, like Yoshitatsu, people who aren't necessarily in the game, but people will go and make. So yeah, WWE Universe, I was a big addict last year, and again, can we swap pads just while I go through this? They've really done the whole fan service thing on this, so I'll try and take you through it quite quickly. So you've got your schedule, which is the standard WWE schedule of Raw, Superstars and SmackDown. Now what you can do is you can add shows. So if you go up here, let's create WCW, because we all miss WCW. So I'll try and do this as quickly as possible. You've got loads of logos to choose from. I presume there's a WCW Monday Nitro one there. Now you can choose. You can over time. We won't do it now, but you can, when you add created wrestlers or DLC, you can create new rosters for those to sit in, and then when you create your shows, it will take wrestlers from that roster added into the show. So we'll put Raw is Raw in this WCW show, and I don't know if it'll let me know. It will let me add any others because I think they're both assigned to other shows. And then you can choose your championships. So you can have. I think the WCW championship should be on here somewhere. Have you unlocked it, Dave? Let's have a look. WCW, are you here? Okay, it doesn't look like it. Let's side the old school wing belt, and let's give it to old school Undertaker. And then again, you can do that with all the different types of belts, except that. Obviously, you want to change your arena. There's no WCW arena in the actual purchased release, but I looked on the line last night, and there's already people have made like WCW Nitro, they've made Starcade, they've made Road Wild. So let's just add Judgment Day for this one. You can change the matchup screen if you want to. You know, you can have all these custom original ones. There's a clip one you could use for a King of the Ring. Let's go for this weird hip hoppy one up here. Let's accept that. So now we've got this show, and if I skip to it, it will create matches based around that whole Raw is Raw roster that we assigned to it. And obviously, if you had a bit more time, then you'd play. You'd create your own WCW roster and assign it to that. But you know, like you can play these matches as you want, or you can edit them to have whatever matches you want, even down to you can defend a title. So if you have a speciality title match, me and Mieks can now play. Let's say he's got the Stone Cold Smoking Skull belt. Me and Mieks can have a match for that. So if I choose that, and let's go 1-on-1. Let's do something in a cage. Then if Mieks, you can.
I was going to say, should we give ourselves a couple of finishes?
Yeah, let's do it. You go up and be Stone Cold. I know you have Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And give yourself like 2 finishes, and then I'll go and be. Oh, if it lets me in, which it won't. Let's try again. Sorry about that, listeners. Steel cage. I'll go over there. If you go up. Right now, I think I'm in. So Mieks is going to be Stone Cold in his 316 t-shirt. I'm going to be the Hitman. Classic WrestleMania match, which where they did their double turn. So we're doing 2 finishes each.
Yeah.
So yeah, as part of this universe, you know, you can. It will generate matches for you. Should we put it on quick?
Yeah.
Or you can create all the matches yourself. You can have a mixture of the two, and we probably won't see any today. But you also get these branching storylines. So when you set up matches and feuds, gradually, if you have the same matches 2 or 3 weeks in a row, it will automatically generate feuds between those people. You might see people coming out and helping them or turning on them. It's a really fun way of sort of not just playing exhibition matches in single player, of actually doing something that's always changing and always evolving. So there you can see, if you remember in that screen before, I chose the Judgment Day arena as the arena for this show, and now all the matches will take place in that arena. So, you know, if you create your own show on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, or you edit the Monday or Thursday shows, whatever arena you choose for that will stick. You don't have to keep going in and, like in exhibition, and change the arena each time to the one you want. So there he is, the man himself, Dave, your hero.
Yep.
And my hero is about to come out. So the Stone Cold shirt is one of the unlockables, I believe. I can't remember what you have to do to get it, but it's part of the universe unlockables. Sorry, the Attitude Era unlockables.
Yeah, if you fulfill those historical objectives we saw earlier, it generally unlocks alternate avatars, old school belts, you know, new arenas, things like that. So that is, you know, that's an extra incentive to be as authentic as possible when you're recreating those
Absolutely.
matches.
The Bret Hart model in this is a bit weird. I don't think it's as good as it has been in previous games. But again, you know, his entrance. Yeah, it's not quite right. But again, generally, I think most of the likenesses, you know, you don't expect them. Some of the guys, sadly, are no longer with us. People like Big Boss Man. I think they've done a really good job of getting as many of the likenesses correct as possible. And you're never going to look at that and go, oh, I don't like his character model, so I'm never going to use him. Jacket looks great. I always wanted a jacket like that when I was little. Again, not a thing I should have admitted on here. I wanted to be the kid in the crowd who got given his sunglasses.
Oh, I had some
Let's skip this bit.
roll-up pink sunglasses that you got that they used to sell. They're really cheap.
So here we go. The ref's telling us it's a championship match for Stone Cold Smoking Skull Belt. Again, really good fan service. The Smoking Skull Belt was in there. Rock's Brahma Bull Belt was in there. Edge's Rated R Belt was in there. Miz's Upside Down M Belt is in there. And you can assign all these to be your main belt in any of your shows in Universe. Like, it really is your world to customise. So yeah, we've got 2 finishes each now, so we're going to have to be a bit more careful in terms of what we do. I'm going to put him straight in a sharpshooter. Oh no, I can't. Oh, I'm going to pile drive him instead. So yeah, this is the other thing, is that if you want quick matches, or if one of you is rubbish and the other's great, you can sort of have a handicap by before the match starts, choosing to have more finishes or fewer finishes than your opponent. And now he's going to hit the stunner. You could see a little too late thing popped up where I couldn't get out of it. Stone Cold's they blur his fingers out, but I think we all know what he's doing there, which is a really good fun thing. Now he's probably going to go for a dirty pin straight away, and we'll try and show you the pinning system. Oh no. Oh, here we go again. So the pinning system, it's not the button tappy method of years past.
Dearie me, sorry.
That's alright.
Yeah, I'll go for a dirty pin then.
That's alright.
Why is it not pinning? That's alright.
See, Meeksy's switched the blood back on. The PG WWE fan won't be a massive fan of that, but
right. Oh, maybe have we taken pinfalls off?
Oh, maybe we have. Maybe you've got to climb the cage. Well, you can actually try and get out of the cage like this. Oh, I'm not going to show you because he's reversed it.
You can.
Okay.
I'll let you try.
So one of the ways you can escape the cage, you can climb the cage. Come on, Brett, sort yourself out, mate. I'll just jump up.
I'm sorry, I'm doing a signature.
That's all right. He's just showing off now, readers, listeners.
Which what you can do in the build up to a real match, you can hit a signature which builds up to your finisher, and this is actually a taunt on the upwards diagonal button on the D-pad, which actually it's just a kind of bespoke animation that sets up your finisher like a real match. So you know, say with the Rock, the Rock would kind of like stalk them from behind before setting them off the rock bottom and things like that. And it's just a really nice kind of presentational touch.
So I'm just going to get him up now. So one of the ways you can escape the cage, you can climb the cage, or you can whip him into the corner. And then if it will let me, which it hasn't.
Do a tree of woe?
No, you can try and get out the door.
Oh, really?
So I'll just lift you up, Dave. Whip you into the corner again. Flip you round, and if you press up and X, it'll actually do this mini game animation where you do a suplex off the rope, and then one of you climbs, like the one doing the suplex scrambles for the door afterwards, and the guy behind has to try and catch you. It's just like a little mini game, because obviously you've seen in the past, doesn't really happen so much anymore in cage matches. You've seen in the past people have won by getting through the door rather than over the top, and as you can see, it's quite hard to get out this way. Dave's going to try and catch me. It's a bit silly and funny, but you know, it is. I think it's the closest way you can do it to what happens in reality. They both just look really silly and tired. I'll let you catch me, and then we'll continue the match. At this point, normally someone would come out and there you go, and slam the door on Brett's head or something like that. But sadly, that level of detail isn't in. So what we'll actually try and do is one of us will try and win by climbing out of the cage. In fact, I'll try and put the sharpshooter on you first, so that the listeners can remember that old favourite of Bret Hart's. You might reverse it. Get it on, Brett. Come on. No, he doesn't want to get it on. Why is he doing that? Weird. And just go for another pile driver. So yeah, and then you can try and climb the cage. It's a similar system to the one you just saw, where the little graphic comes up and you've got to stop the bar at max. Meeksy can come and try and grab me off with the X button, but I think he's going to get a bit too late. So yeah, that is Bret Hart, with Meeksy sort of letting me win, beating Stone Cold, and Stone Cold being particularly indignant about it. And yeah, I mean that's probably it for matches, but we'll take you through the other modes just so you see what else is in there in case you've been wondering whether or not this is a must purchase. I would say if you're looking for a fighting game like we said earlier, Street Fighter or Soul Calibur, it's probably not along the lines of your kind of thing. But at the same time, if you're marginally interested in wrestling, if you're a lapsed fan who was into it, oh yeah, you won the Smoking Skull belt, I'd forgotten that element. But yeah, if you're a lapsed fan who loved it in the olden days, I think there's a lot for you here. And if you're remotely interested in wrestling, then I really think even the Attitude Era, just the Attitude Era stuff is worth.
Yeah, so on that point, I was wondering if we just quickly dive into an Attitude match just really quickly, so we could show off one of the cutscenes. I think if we just go to Undertaker or Mankind from that famous Hell in a Cell match, we can just see one of the kind of opening cutscenes, which really gives you a flavour of how they've recreated the kind of atmosphere from that era. Yeah,
so you can see here all the belts in Universe mode have their title histories, so it'll tell you how many times you've won it, who's won it the most, etc. Which again is a really nice touch. You can go in, you can edit, your rosters, you can edit your tag teams. You can actually change what storylines happen and don't happen if you don't want your tag team splitting up, which can be a bit of a faff to put them together. You can just switch that off. it really is a fully customizable experience. Let's jump out of there, as Mieks says. You can have control again, Mieks. Just swap our pads over, smash a few things on the way, and we'll finish with one last Attitude Era match, which is one of, if not the most famous WWE matches of all time, between
perhaps the defining match of the Attitude Era.
So this is
that is it.
Yeah, Undertaker versus Mankind. We'll put on easy to get it done quickly, and Mieks will show you some of the things that happened.
And this is one of the pieces of kind of contextual commentary. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that, but that's kind of JR just setting the scene.
The evil, most demonic structure ever erected.
Indeed.
Even more than like the castle in Mordor.
Oh, good God Almighty, he may well be broken heart.
Here he comes.
So this is one of these kind of context-setting cutscenes, which are, you know, they're really nicely directed.
Mankind, if you've seen this before, is going to climb the cell now. I'm sure you'll remember it. And when we say that all the things that happen in this match are in the game, then you'll probably be quite excited, and they really are. Apart from Terry Funk coming up, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, the bits everyone remembers, are all present and correct.
And this should be quite a quick match to go through, because you essentially just, spoiler alert, throw him off the Hell in a Cell immediately.
Yeah, you know, this was the match that Mick Foley, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, whatever you want to call him, you know, he'd always been a mid-carder until this point. I think this was the match where everyone, you know, began respecting him and going, this man goes above and beyond for wrestling. It's the old thing of people going, it's not real. It's like there's no way you can be thrown off a 14-foot cage and go through a table and it not hurt a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely real. I saw him recently at an event and he could barely walk, which I think is one of the effects of being thrown off a 16-foot cage.
One thing not in this match that happened in the real one, they obviously couldn't put in this for the PG rating, was he got at one point he got dropped and his tooth went through his throat and up his and up his nose. That part isn't in the game, probably for the best. So they're about to have a bit of a tussle on the roof, and then as you'll see, the first historical objective is to throw him off the cell and through the announcer table. We found, both of us, with me and Dave, that obviously normally you'll play the game on medium or hard or a variation. There's sliders you can tweak to again customise your experience with the with this stuff, the Attitude Era stuff. I recommend. Is he going to go? Here he goes. In a very short time. Interesting. You'll find that in Attitude Era mode, here we go. Bam. Yeah, in Attitude Era mode, in terms of unlocking everything and getting through it, it's actually probably more fun to play it in easy, you know, because you're really doing it to reenact all the old stuff and to advance through it as fast as possible. And one of the few areas you can't utilise your own sliders and change, you know, how many reversals there are, etc., is in Attitude Era mode. You're basically forced to play.
It's a little bit of a shame. It's a bit of an oversight. When I was playing through it, what I tended to do was, as Ben said, a lot of the time I went through an easy just because I wanted to recreate and see all the classic moments as quickly as possible. But for like really big kind of like main event ones, I usually stuck it in a hard difficulty just to get kind of that more kind of epic sense of a really back and forth match. The trouble with the AI on the harder difficulties is there's not quite enough nuance with the reversal system, so you whack up to ledger and you essentially just counter everything. So yeah. I think the AI is the one big area where Utes can, you know, certainly still improve. But let's hope they can sort that for WWE 14.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're at a stage now where you can look at the engine and you can pick holes with it and go, it's not a true fighting game. But whether with the current engine or the way it's been, it's much improved over the last 4 or 5 years, and until they rework it from scratch, which I assume they probably will at some point on next gen, you know, I think this is the best it's going to get. The engine, you don't sit here and go, in terms of finding faults with the current version of it, I would change this, and this. The physicality is right. There's a few problems with the size recognition. The fluidity is great. It's really strong for what it is, and certainly I think if you hated the last couple in terms of the in-ring stuff, you're probably not going to find much to change that here. If you quite liked it, then all the things they've added around it, you're going to really enjoy. What's the next thing you got to do in this one, Dave?
I've got a choke slam through the cage roof.
So, as you've probably seen while you've been playing, every wrestler, and as has been customary the last couple of years, every wrestler has like a couple of signature moves, and they actually have 3 finishes now. So one of Undertaker's finishing moves, and I think one of his signature moves actually, is a choke slam. So he's going to try and build up to. I was going to throw him off again. That's just mean. There's not even any table to break his fall. I think this time, by God, he really might be broken in half.
He's broken in full.
So Dave will. Is he going to go down and get him, or are you going to wait for him?
I'll just try and cheatily build up my finisher.
Yeah, here we go. You can wait for him up there, and in a minute he'll hopefully be fixed enough to climb the cage. Jerry Lawler and JR looking worried for his safety down there. Up you come, Mankind.
Come on, sweetheart.
He's going to stroll around the ring now. No, he's looking up. So here he comes again. Hit select a set, Dave. We'll just check what the rest of your oh, you just got to do the choke slam through the roof and then pin him.
Okay,
so yeah, you want to get him on that middle sort of grate bit, and here we go.
That's what this
Oh,
was.
it's going to hurt. Sorry, Mick. Bang. Not quite seamless, but you know, still look pretty cool. And I'm wincing for virtual Mick, even though he's not a real thing. So Mick's going to jump down now, or maybe he doesn't need to. I think. Oh yeah, it transitions into a cutscene. And you know, it's very varied in terms of some matches. It's just the match with some objectives. Other matches, it will be like walk to a certain point to advance to the next part of the match. There's nice variation where you don't always feel like you're doing exactly the same thing over and over again. And this one is, you would think, soon to be over. It's going to jump in and pin him. So that is Undertaker pinning Mankind at King of the Ring, one of the classic Attitude Era moments. And that pretty much, Dave, I think, is WWE 13. Anything else you want to say in closing?
Yeah, I just think, as you said earlier, if you've been on the fence with the series over the last few years, because you know the actual product of WWE has been probably declining for a few years. If you've got any love for kind of like that classic era of wrestling in the late 90s, the Attitude Era, I mean, it's such a kind of faithful, loving tribute to, like, you know, probably the greatest wrestling era ever. So yeah, if you've got any love for Austin and The Rock, or like any like the Monday Night Wars, it's absolutely worth getting.
Yeah, and there you go. You've unlocked the King of the Ring '98 arena, and you guys should all enjoy playing in that and playing WWE 13 because it's great. Thank you very much for listening.
Cheers, guys.